All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. We have something special for you guys. Today I have two of my clanmates, Catfish and Jesse, and we're gonna have something new as a podcast. We're gonna be talking about different things in the game so far and how the game came about us and small little stuff. So the first other question on the agenda, I would say is all the new stuff coming to the game, the different nerfs. So we're gonna start off with the equipment because that has definitely been one of the tough taking pills that came to the game. So we're gonna start with my boy Catfish and what would he think about the different changes to the equipment.
Hey, thanks, Peacekeeper. Yeah, so I know that they just announced that there's going to be some new changes, and honestly, I haven't read through all of the patch notes for the upcoming changes, but the ones that they have already done, I guess last month, I know that they hurt a lot of folks. When you start looking at like the gauntlet and the different things like that, and then that led to some some new uses, some better uses of other things that they had not nerfed. So like Fireball, how often were people using Fireball before some of those nerfs? And now that sucker has taken off. And I think it's been a good thing for the game to move things around to try to make people do different types of attacks and use different pieces of equipment. We all hate when nerfs come in because it makes us have to change. But at the same time, sometimes change is nice because it gets you to do something fresh and find some new and fun attacks to use. What do you guys think?
What do you think about that one, Jesse?
Well, with the changes, you definitely see some different uses on the king with the spiky ball equip and the earthquake boots being used a lot to one shot a lot of the key defenses. The RC got hit quite well, but not as much for like the regular game. But when you see her on hard mode, her equipment is not as good anymore, like the dominant hawk puppet haze file, since those stats got nerfed into oblivion.
Yeah.
Like Edfish said, the fireball on the water, it's a beauty. It's just a bloody beauty.
Yeah, yeah, it really is too because when the fireball came out, everyone hated it before it was even touched. So now that some of the equipment that is got debuff, like the Giant Gauntlet, which is still to me one of the best equipment in the game for the King, the Fireball is taken over for the Grand Warden, and the Warden is that's one equipment that I've seen on the Warden use way more than either Rage Jam or any of the equipment I've seen. So the debuffs for me were needed. They were needed because the equipment when the equipment came to the game, it just took over every single attack. I could see heroes, all four heroes would literally just take out 50, sometimes 60% of the base, and the army that you brought technically wasn't really needed. Um, so now having, yeah, the debuffs are hated, I can understand because people did spend like a lot of money and time to just upgrade the equipment. And then when the debuffs came, the feedback was expected for me, but they were needed. The game was definitely going down, not really in a quick spiral, but it was definitely going on in terms of, like it would say, fun and different attack strategies were needed because we would see the same attack strategy day in day out with the root riders, with the healing tone, with the warden, and we saw that. I saw that plenty of times in the World Series doing competitive wars and just wars in general. So it was it was pretty tedious to see that entire equipment, but I think the debuffs are appreciated now in a way for some players, but not all players are gonna like it for sure. Um, the next thing we have also is I believe something new is the Druid nerf. I think I haven't read it at all. What do you guys think about the Druid nerf?
Yeah, I know they're taking quite a bit of is it both HP and DPS away from them. So I'm not. It's definitely going to have an impact on the game, depending on whether or not you took advantage of them. I know that I've seen a lot of folks that have been using this Super Witch and Druid attack, or even some Mass Druid attacks, and it's going to have an impact on those. Me, I have been using actually a dragon army recently that I use a couple druids to support my heroes as they go in to take out some key defenses. And I'm going to be interested to see how long those druids will last and what sort of impact because I'm not I'm obviously not a pro player, right? I'm just a filthy casual who likes to play. I don't have a perfect triple rate, but I've been doing okay, and I'll be interested to see how that nerf takes me down a peg a little bit, especially as when is that going to happen? Is it going to happen in the middle of CWL like the last set of nerfs did, or are we going to see it come afterwards? Did Supercell learn their lesson from last time? So yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely going to have an impact because I see them used a lot right now.
What do you think, Jesse?
Based on the stats, I think the max druids are gonna have lesser stats than the druids on probably on level 1. So that's kinda a big change for them. But like Catfish said, the Super Witch, Mass Druid hit, those are gonna be definitely hit. But with me using only like 3 or 4 druids with the Root Rider spam, kinda curious if it's gonna be that impactful. I'm not sure when they're gonna drop it. Wasn't it today during the maintenance? Or is it gonna be afterwards? After CWL?
Yeah,
It's
for
just an
me,
interesting timing.
yeah, I think it's gonna be very, very interesting too because after when druids were introduced to the game, I didn't see anyone use healers anymore because the druids were like say 5 times better than the healers. So now I think with this debuff, I believe that we'll probably see a little bit more clean charges in a way. I still think some witches are going to be used, but when it comes to druids, we may only see like one or two, maybe three druids if that much, because mass druids were so strong. You could just use mass druids and your healers, and you could triple tall 16. Um, even the root word is also I see people sprinkling in one or two druids with the root riders and they do just as well, not having to need the healing tome when the healing tome with debuff as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what players think because once something changes, a lot of players are not going to like it in terms of different attacks. But the when the game is really progressing, you tend to see one attack more than the other. Some attacks are going to get pushed to the wayside, and then some are going to just be used constantly. So the debuffs in general they're really needed, um, just to basically make players think more and use different attack strategies instead of spamming the same one and getting that 3 star because it wasn't like that, especially when the equipment was in the game. You had to really think about what you were doing, and now you could just pick up one army and use that constantly, which is not a bad thing if you are used to one army, and that what gets you 3 stars. But if you're seeing it constantly, day in day out, the game is definitely gonna feel a little stale. Um, Not for the attacker, but for the defender. Um, but you're gonna need it. You need debuffs in games if you're gonna see the same thing over and over. The game will die. Um, but instead of Clash, there's always new things coming. Um, Debuffs and buffs are helps the game grow. That's what I believe, and we're gonna hit it. I can tell you that. When I saw the debuffs, it kind of sucked. Especially spending a lot of time that we did, and especially as a free to play player, knowing that you saw this is very strong, you're going to spend time and a lot of time, a lot of ore into it, and then when the debuffs came, it kind of hurt. So it'd be like, what was the point of grading it? No, if there was a debuff, but they were needed. They were really needed, and the droids probably one of the strongest troops in the game. Um, now they're being debuffed, so we're gonna probably see the same attack strategies, but reverse. We may see one or two droids, no droids, and the healers will probably get back their spotlight. Um, that's what I believe. So the next point now is, how did the game really change our lives? Was that, well, what do you guys think about that? How did you guys get introduced to the game, and how has it changed your lives in terms of being a person or just a clasher? So just start with you, Jesse, this one.
Um, well, if you want to go back to the entire history, it's gonna be a long sitting. I've been clashing for like 12, almost 12 years. Got introduced by a friend, just casually playing, There's one of early rushes, not knowing what to do in a game,
Yeah.
till you get to the point where it gets a little more serious, where you're actually starting to plan your hits, have some fun hits. Uh, so from those 12 years, the first 7 years, I would say, were like just casual Andy. But then I got introduced into the esports scene. Yeah, that's a way different note. Like you actually have to practice a couple of hours a day to keep on track on your perfect drops. I've been like every esports player, esports manager, to owning an org right now. Did this game change me as an individual? Yes, I learned a lot of players over the world, making some friends from left and right, from America, Australia, UK, you name it, and I know someone over there. It also helped me improve with my English. Who would have thought?
Yeah, you're doing great. You're doing great.
it it's such a good big experience for a gamer just casually playing with people around the world, making friends you never would met basically. It it's a wonderful experience. Although, yeah, I don't know what to say.
Yeah. How about you, Catfish?
Yeah, I mean, along those same lines, it's been, I think, since 2015, I think, is when I started playing. My brother-in-law started playing, I think, after the famous um, Liam Neeson commercial that came out in the Super Bowl, and he had been playing it for a little while. And then, I was a cheap dude. I didn't even have a smartphone for the longest time. But I tell you, once I finally got an iPhone, one of the very first apps I downloaded was Clash of Clans, and played along with my brother-in-law in a real casual clan, just with a group of his friends that he had met. And from there, I started, getting a little bit more serious into the game. That this was back when I started playing like a month before Town Hall 11 came out. I think I started in like October, November, and Town Hall 11 came out like that next month or so. So back then, Town Hall 10, that was the tough one that everybody hated because the 10v10 triple rate was lower than anything else. Even 11v11 was easier to triple than 10v10. So it was back in the days of having the nines hit each other and having the tens reach up and try to two-star the 11s and have the 11s dip down to try to triple the tens. Back on the original old school CWL. Not that I ever played any of those, but as those were coming on board, I hit, I think, Town Hall 9 and moved into a little bit more serious clan with guys that were actually playing more and trying to use some strategy. And by strategy, I mean mostly about upgrades and how to properly balance your offense and your defense, because we all had to worry about war weights back then. We had the super engineered accounts that were going on back then that were throwing off all of the war maps. So it was an interesting time, and I think I sat at max Town Hall 9 for 6 to 9 months because I was seriously looking at trying to move into some of the more competitive scenes. And I knew that Town Hall 9 was probably the place to do it because back then competitive scene was Town Hall 9, 10, 11. And being competitive at Town Hall 10 was near impossible. So I sat there and tried to get as good as I could at Town Hall 9, and that's where I looked at it applying to like Boston Tea Party back in the day. I was a fan of Klaus. I started playing the same month or the month after Klaus started his channel, and he started an account that was Jasper, and that was his brand new account. So as I was coming along, that's the account that I followed. I followed that progression, used his upgrading guides, and followed along with us, his some of his strategy guides. Got to be friends with one of his clanmates, They Coming, and used a lot of his strategies for Town Hall 9 because he was an amazing attacker at Town Hall 9 back then. And that's how I got into this community that we are now in together. I met Peacekeeper and W. Parker and a lot of the guys that we now have as co-leaders in our clan were in the comment section and in the live streams that Klaus was doing way back in the day. So that's, kind of where I came from. Now, how's it changed my life, man? I've got so many friends now online in both the class community and in Discord. I spent a little bit of time as a small content creator doing a podcast myself and got to meet a lot of people and have made friends that I never would have had it not been for this game, which is why I think we care so much about it and why we care about trying to get Supercell to keep things balanced and not go down those routes of just being a money grab, but being a game that really brings in community. And they've done a decent job. Things have changed recently there, but I think they're still doing a decent job.
Yeah, because the same line with you too, because I didn't have a phone not till I was maybe 15, 16, because that wasn't really my interest. Because for me, I play sports, so that was what I was interested in doing. And then my friend told me about the game. He was like Town Hall 7, and Dragons at Town 7 was like, he enjoyed it. He enjoyed this game. He would tell me about this game every single day. And I was like, I'll give it a try. And then I think the same afternoon I came home from school, I saw a Clash of Clans commercial on the TV. So I was like, this is telling me something. So the next week I ended up getting a hand-me-down phone from my sister, and I was like, I'll give the game a try. So when I thought about the game in general, I just thought it as a tower defense game because I played a couple tower defense games on my laptop and stuff. So I gave it a try and I started to enjoy it. I like the strategic party game. I think that's what grabbed me into the game a little bit more. Trying to brainstorm on what to do, where to drop these troops and what time, and then I just checked YouTube to look to because I was lost. I did not know what I was doing. I think I rushed to like tunnel six, but it wasn't like a bad rush where I had to like catch up. I just had like probably three, four buildings to finish. But I checked YouTube. I found Close. I found Kenny Joe. Kenny Joe is one of the persons I found. He did like a lot of war, so I was like, this is looking interesting. And then I found Close, where he did like the Let's Play series, understanding what I was doing wrong and really understanding that Clash of Clans community is a very finite community. So everyone would help everybody. No one would like downgrade anyone or whatever the case may be. So finding Close and finding all of you guys in general has been not even helping me as a clasher, helping me as a person to even brainstorm. Because if I wouldn't understand something, I would like literally give up on it. And now I can look at it at 4 or 5 different points of view um, to actually understand and learn. And the game has helped me a lot. And I was so afraid joining clans because I didn't want to be like the all one out, not knowing what to do. So Close as a person to help me, and going through trials was probably like the most nervous thing I've probably ever done. And I think you as well, Catfish, remember too. I ended up failing my trials because I was so scared attacking Town Hall 10s because it was so hard. Town Hall 10 triples were probably the hardest thing to get in the game. Town Hall 9 was easy, Town Hall 10 was difficult, and then going on to like Town Hall 11 and stuff, it was like a breeze. But Town Hall 10 was what would really show you that you could be a good attacker or a new attacker. So I think I failed my trials that time, and I think Klaus messaged me on Discord. Is like, you understand what you're doing, you're just afraid to do it. And then from there on, the game has just felt like my home. I think I have more friends in Discord than I have in real life. that is that is not a lie, but being friends with you guys and understanding the game and just understand myself as a person has grown exponentially because you guys are like such great help, not just in the game at all, just being yourself. You guys, we could hang out in a Discord properly, hours just talking um, as friends, not even just talking about the game at all. It's been, I think, mind blowing to me knowing that Clash of Clans has such a huge community, which I never thought was a thing in games. I think everyone just get on, do what you gotta do, and just get off. But I think we understand each other so much, our play styles and ourselves as just people in general. I think we could continue growing in this game and hoping the game continue growing as we would see fit. So we have another one also, something that's pretty much new to us is going to be the Synchronic partnership. Are you guys how excited are you guys when we talked about it? We'll start with Jesse because Jesse's definitely been in the limelight for this one.
Wait, what exactly was your question?
With the Synchronic partnership. What do you guys think about it?
You, I'm speaking about the general picture, or
Yeah, as far as you can get into it.
I mean, like the partnership, like taking KOZ, AE, even EE within like the Scronic family to help you all back up on your feet to get the activity back rolling. And it's just a good way to help my old friends again in it.
Yeah,
To make sure something that's been run within friends over the time, to keep those things strong within the game. That was basically the goal. It's a chronic, making like a safe, good, and like a friendly environment for the community to give something back to the people, if you get what I mean.
yeah, yeah. It was very. I wasn't expecting it at all. I wasn't expecting to even partner up with anyone at a point, but we realized that a lot of people were moving away, and now with close moving away from the game and YouTube altogether, um, I think we really needed to keep everyone together instead of parting ways because I think that probably would have been one of the toughest things for us to do because we grew so many friendships together from different clans and different people just being in the game. I think this is probably one of the best steps that we've taken in a while. So not having a content creator also with close, that's where everyone would be together, closer, have streams, made videos, all of us would interact with him and him being gone, no, it felt like we were missing like a hole, like we had like a little void, not knowing which direction to go. So having this, I still don't believe that we're partnered with them. It still feels like still so new to me. Um, and then also probably being in the pro scene just from not watching it. This is like for me, it's gonna be a whole new experience. Like I'm now playing Clash of Clans for like the first time. Um, Having this huge experience is going to be very great for me and for other people in my clan also that haven't even seen the pro scene in Clash at all. So this is going to be a very nice introduction to the pro scene and a different side of Clash. I think that's what we all need um, to probably just grow as a player and understand that more of like a dedication to it, in my point of view. What do you think about it, Catfish?
Yeah, I love it. The history behind Knights of Zion is it was a clan that was started by Klaus Gaming, and I know that there are several other Klauses out there now
Yeah,
in the Clash of Clans community, but the OG
yeah,
Klaus Gaming, the old Texas boy who was one of the very first casters for Supercell when they started getting involved in esports back in the Champions War League days. He and Galadon were the casters that got invited to Supercell headquarters to cast some of those original events that went on. But that was really where his involvement in the pro scene, I guess, kind of ended. He competed with Boston Tea Party for a little bit back in the old school CWL days. I don't know that they made it to the top tier of CWL of Champions War League, but that was where his esports scene kind of ended, and the clan has gone through several different iterations of what it's been focused on. It tried to be a competitive clan for a little bit. It turned into a pushing clan for a while, to where the only requirements to get in were have more trophies than the last guy on the roster. It went to more of a fan kind of clan, and then when I got involved a couple years ago, and when a lot of the guys who are now on the leadership team. So Peacekeeper, I know you're one of the OG guys, but when we brought you onto leadership, when guys like Jeremy and Parker, we all came on, and it kind of became a serious casual clan, if that makes sense. We didn't compete in tournaments, but we wanted to play at the best level. And then we had Eden's Edge, who was at the little bit lower, to where they, Knights of Zion was taking the highest town hall level, and EE was taking the guys that were like top 3 levels, and just trying to get better is a clan. And then we had guys like Jesse and like Benjo, who were in the clan and doing their things with the clan and going out and playing individually in tournaments and doing things at that level. I know that Jesse's got a long history of various different esports organizations and things that he's done, and it's been awesome getting to know him through Big D, who was our leader for a long time, and just get involved with that higher level of play. But we also wanted to be that clan that was open to, letting parents play Clash of Clans with their kids. It's a game, after all, right? It's a mobile game that parents have on their phones, and sometimes the kids get on. So we've had young kids that have played. I know, PK, when you came on, you said you were a teenager. We
yeah.
have a couple guys that
I'm
have
the youngest
rotated
in the
through.
clan too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We've had a couple guys that have rotated through leadership that they hadn't even graduated high school yet. I'm pretty sure Benjo was still in school when he started playing. And we were riding Klaus's coattails, and that's how we were getting people to come into the clan. Well, then as real life changed for Klaus, and he and his wife finally had a baby, and that took over his life, as it should. And he started doing YouTube less and started playing Clash less. So we weren't having anybody new come into the clan, and it was kind of difficult for us. And I was mulling over ideas of what we could do, and I was seeing Jesse and Benjo and Synchronic Gaming just tearing things up. I know that we've seen their names in some of the gold ticket events and whatnot, and can't wait to see how things happen later on this year. And right about the time I was thinking of what can we do to bring more people into the clan, Jesse came to us and said, "Hey, what would you guys think about partnering with Synchronic Gaming?" And it was beautiful, because it was me looking at what we could do, Jesse saying, "I've got an idea," and it took us a couple months to get there. But now that we've officially come into the Synchronic Gaming family, we've been welcomed in. The guys and girls there that are running things have been so friendly and helpful. We're running CWL now. I'm going to spend this evening, and there's some folks in the chat, I think, that might be interested in some of what's going to happen with that. But we're going to spend about 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time tonight, which there's another Masters One clan in the podcast community that's also spending about that same time. So we'll see if that hooks up
yeah,
for the content there. But it's been nice. We've got a whole community of folks. We brought everybody up to KOZ for now. We had at one point we had 4 clans that were active and full between KOZ, Jericho Rising, Eden's Edge, and Use Code Klaus. And we've dwindled down to only being able to fill the one clan. But I see us getting more activity now, and being able to, one, help Synchronic by providing them with some more clans available at different levels for CWL, and them help us to get some more community involvement. And I can't wait next month, Peacekeeper. I don't know that you've seen this chat, but we think you and maybe Sir Cello Pup might actually not be competing in KOZ. We might bump you guys up a little bit higher level and let you try with some of the big boys
Ooh,
at Champs 2 or higher. So we'll see how you do this month, right?
I'm excited because I didn't know anything about that, so that's new. That's very new news to me. But I think the competitive side for me is gonna be like a brand new slate. It's like I'm now playing Clash of Clans and learning from the best, and even learning from Jesse too. Because when I started playing and just having fun, be able to break down a base, and then looking at Jesse's attacks, something things he does, I still don't believe that I could do that because I would watch him bar to town 16 and triple, and it's like, okay, like I couldn't think about breaking a base in four, five, six different places. I would look at just four, and looking at how the pro players can identify like small little placements and understanding that this is going to go in this direction and this is going to go there. Where I would think, okay, well, whatever the queen does, she's going to do. If she hits the wall, she hits the wall. But I'm so happy that we can continue expanding, not just as a clan, as a family, because I don't just look at the game as I have clanmates. I hop onto the game or hop onto stream and record, and so okay, I have my family in here. It's like a whole different ball game for me. Um, just having all you guys together, we could just talk and not even just talk about the game, just talk about real life, how things are going, whatever the case may be. So I'm happy to be in this situation with Cyclonic, and they were so friendly too. I was like, I didn't understand in a way how they would greet us in a way because it's like something completely new to us, but they introduced us with open arms, and they are probably going to keep expanding even more with different people and different content creators that I've never heard before. Because there are a couple that Jesse showed me the two, Rafa COC and Athena. I didn't know about any other content creator from the ones that I watched. So I can see another point of view from a streamer as well and as a player. So I'm happy for this partnership. It is going to be really great for me also, and for you, Catfish, and everyone, and even Jesse too, because he's been in the scene a lot more than us, so he would understand the ins and outs and stuff, and he could definitely walk us through as a new attacker like me, Jesse. You can you can help me out, but this is great. I can't wait. I can't wait.
I will teach you Barch, no problem.
Yeah, I that's one thing you need to teach me. You teach me everything else. You just need to teach me Bart.
Exactly, Barch. That's the most important thing out there.
Yeah. Um, Another thing too with the Cyclonic partnership and me being as I would say a content creator, but I think you guys has pushed me to be a content creator. I never thought to really make content for the game. I just would like hop on, record some of my Legends attacks or whatever the case may be, and like what happens happens. But I gotta thank you guys. Like my thank you is probably not even gonna be enough. Um, just helping pushing me to make content, to stream and look at class differently. Not just get on and do whatever you want to do and be off for the day. But I gotta thank you guys so much. Catfish Jesse, Jeremy, Big D, Armchair General as well. Can't forget him. You guys pushed me to be a content creator and I don't know, understand to show players a different light. Because most content creators, we do Let's Play series and whatever the case may be. But for me, every Let's Play series for a clasher is different. I would do something that, say, Galalon would do differently or Klaus would do differently. So yeah, the Let's Play series all come down the same line. Um, but as a clasher, even just a free to play player or a paid player, you may do something I may not do, and I may do something you may not do. So I gotta thank you guys a lot for that. My thank you definitely, like I said, it's way more than just saying thank you right now, but I gotta thank you guys tenfold for helping me understand the game and understand that I could do something with this. So this is gonna be it's gonna be great, and I can't wait for Citadel. I can't wait for Citadel for sure. So I'll keep you guys updated on how my 15 does, and I will eventually take that to 16. So we'll see. And so I want to know one more thing from you both before we call it. I want to know how you guys want to see Clash of Clans in a whole with hopefully new town hall level, um, and the progression of the game. Where do you guys want to see it in, say, the next 5 years? We'll start with you, Catfish.
Well, thanks, Peacekeeper. Before I answer that, I do want to shout out. We've got a couple guys that are hanging out in our listening live in Discord right now. We've got C Note, who is the host of the Clash Tours podcast. So thank you for stopping in, C Note, to see what we're doing. He likes to tour around and do podcasts from various different clans and clan families, and he took a little bit of a break, as did I at one point, and we're glad to hear him back and speaking. So go check him out and what he's doing there, and that's fine. That aligns with some of the esports stuff. But honestly, hot take from me, I would like to see Clash of Clans pull Supercell out of the esports arena. That doesn't mean pull Clash of Clans out of esports. Let the community handle it. I think if we look back, the esports side seemed, in my opinion, to be much better when it was run by the community as opposed to being run by the company itself. And we look back at Champions War League and the way that some of that was run. We had all of these other community events that were being run by the community, being run by external organizations that didn't have to rely upon also having insider information about development and bringing in money for the company itself. I think it was run better when it was run by the community. So if they could find a way to kind of step away from making CWL clan war leagues. It doesn't mean get rid of clan war leagues, but making the world championship being hosted from and run by the same company that's also developing the game. I think that almost creates these appearance of conflict of interest or appearance of making it pay to win in some instances. So if they could do something to pull themselves out of being the ones running all of it, that might actually help them in the esports scene, and it might actually help them get back towards being a real esports game. Several years ago, there's the Clash of Clans was nominated for Mobile Esports Game of the Year. And they haven't been nominated. They've never won, but they were at least nominated several years ago. And then as they've gone further and further down the way that they've been doing with World Championships, they just have not had the same type of esports scene as many of the other mobile games. And some of those, like Brawl Stars and Clash Royale, have also for that. It's usually won by one of the first person shooters, but at least getting nominated means that there is some sort of following. Even though Clash of Clans, if we look at Google Trends as far as interest in the game, is bigger than a lot of those other mobile games, but at the esports scene, it's just not. So I'd love to see our guys that are the esports players have a real audience that's looking towards them and not an audience that's jaded by Supercell's maybe wishy-washy way of enforcing terms of service as we've seen recently, and maybe just let it be run by the community. So that's where I'd like to see from my perspective.
What do you think about that, Jesse? Because there was a point also that Catfish came up with the pay to win aspect, so I think that's something that we can build off on. But what do you think the game should push off to, Jesse?
Looking to past years, and I'm just gonna look at the view of like the esports scene, like the World Championships and stuff.
Yeah.
Like Town of 12 and 13 were, in my opinion, like peak. entertainment, but also the most competitive time. Like Tunnel 14, the meta got a little too easy. Like everything got to triple. There was like the first time battle who could triple the fastest. That was not enjoyable to watch. Then on Tunnel 15, they had like a very well balanced game. Triples were actually rewarding for the viewers. So really perfect wars. Just getting those triples in was like so phenomenal to watch. The players actually had to break down the bases instead of just spam it and it's done. That's also when you saw a quite revive of the social media side of Clash in Tunnel 15. The streams, the wars, the finals were like highly watched. Then Tunnel 16 came and the metas just spam the same thing over and over again. Content creators have like a tough time actually making like good content. The viewership just dropped as hell. So looking to the future, I hope it's gonna be a little more balanced to keep the esports scene living and actually entertaining, but don't make the game too difficult for the casual side because you have to think of both sides. You have the pro scene and you have the community scene. To get like a perfect balance for both is a little rough, but don't do it like they've done like lately, like way focused on the easier side, I guess, heavily on the equipment side with the paying for the ores if you actually want to max it ASAP. It's just a pain. It's just a bloody pain.
Yeah, it really has been like the same thing we're talking about esports. Um, Normally we would see like it was easy to triple at a point after they did introduce a couple things. But for what I've seen, like that was actually very competitive because when, as you said, Tom 15, they were normally just attacking, and three stars were pretty hard to come by. But then after a while, it just felt like who tripled the fastest would win. And it didn't feel rewarding because everyone would just spam at a point, and if I tripled your base faster than you, and half of the time there were a lot of just perfect wars, but it all came down to time, which kind of felt really boring because it felt like you tripled for no reason in a sense. So the game didn't feel as entertaining on the esports side. It just felt a lot of the content creators weren't able to show a lot of the wars, and even when they did, a lot of viewers probably didn't watch it because it was just a race against time. It wasn't like anything rewarding for them to watch. So it felt pretty dry on that side. But for me, I would hope what they do in the future is continue help the community a little bit more in terms of gameplay. Um, Help them mainly like help them to grow instead of everyone just staying at one town hall because the end game is always to be at the highest town hall. So try to help them make it easier for them, not like as easy where I could just spend 1 month at town hall and be done. But it has been easier throughout the months to max out. But esports wise, maybe let one of the community clans join in on the wars to give them a different experience. Maybe it doesn't have to be the main stage like the other clans have been. Um, Help them something small, some like a Nordic war, something like that. That I've seen at the lower town hall, say like town hall 9, town hall 10, some even town 11. Um, Introduce them to that. I think that could help also. But you never know how things go. You never know how the lever will be pulled. But something small to help the community, give them like challenges, whatever the case may be, to introduce them more into the game and not just be esports as well. But we have one more, I think, that we can end off on is probably the one that's going
Well,
to be a little salty.
before you move on, you bring
Oh,
up a good point.
yeah,
If you don't mind,
yeah,
you talk about end game being at the max level, and that's one of the issues that Clash of Clans has is that you have to have been playing for years before you can even enter the esports arena. So somebody who freshly downloads the game and then starts watching on Twitch or on YouTube, seeing, hey, I see these things in game about world championships. How do I do that? And they can't because they either have to play for 2 years to get to max level, spend a bunch of money to get to max level, or they have to go and break terms of service and buy an account that's going to end up getting banned from esports anyway.
yeah,
And that's where I go back to my comment earlier about maybe let the community run. It's Clash of Clans, and clans are made up of all sorts of different people. And if we could go back to maybe highlighting some of the community events on the esports scene that aren't all max town hall levels, I think that would be fun. It would be a way to let new players get involved in that esports scene. It would be new players having to rely upon older players that older by in town hall level. Um, and if we required, say, this tournament requires you to have town halls 12, 13, 14, and the thing is, each player can only have one account in the thing. That means, guys that are at Town Hall 14 have to rely on somebody that's at Town Hall 12 to come in and help them support them in that effort. So that kind of opens the door for newer players to find an easier way of getting into the esports scene and might actually get more community involvement. So that's a good point about it's got to be end game before you can get there.
yeah.
And I
Because
think there could be other things.
a lot of players also, us as creators too, is like, I think we think we can do no wrong, but there are times that we do some wrong things, um, showing off like different things. But that's what we're used to, showing off the strong stuff, um, as well as when it came down to the debuffs in the equipment. I saw like a lot of comments, like Clash bashing for one. I watch him a lot. Um, a lot of people, viewers, complain to the creators and say that well, it's your fault that you show off this. It's too strong. No, it's getting debuffed. So it's like there are times that I could say we do well, but us as creators, we're just showing off content. That's it for us. We're showing off something that is really good, and we want to see our viewers use this attack strategy. We don't want to see them using like the same thing over and over, like eat rice for one. We don't want to show that off all the time. We want to show something new. So I'm not 100% sure, but do they still? I don't think they do community like events anymore, do they? Because I think Clash used to do that to get the community more involved. I'm not 100% sure. Do you guys know?
There's definitely community events that go on. I don't feel like they're as highlighted as much because the focus is on that whatever the highest town hall level is gameplay towards world championships. So the things that focus on anything other than that don't get highlighted quite as much. But there's still a lot of community events that go on out there. And if you get plugged in with some of the Discord servers that are focused on the different communities. There's Lady Angels that runs the Discord communities for each of the different town hall levels that have their own communities. So if you want to do Town Hall 9 versus 9 stuff, you get plugged into one of those community events and you can take your Town Hall 9 and do stuff. But it just doesn't get as much attention. And I think that's partly due to the fact that a Town Hall 9 versus Town Hall 9 tournament has zero impact on world championships, and it's not going to get picked up by Supercell for any sort of advertisement.
Yeah, I think if they can expand the esports size, not just be Town 16, I think the community would enjoy that more than seeing Town 16 gameplay because I think it's a very small number of Town 16s compared to Town Hall 9 or 11, maybe even 12, 13. I think a lot of players are more at that Town Hall than 16. So what I think they could do, what I didn't think would be too bad, say the golden ticket. The golden ticket would be for the higher town halls, and you could showcase um, a straight town 15 war or a town 11, something where the community would understand. I think they could do that. It may get a little bit of bad feedback here and there. Most people want to see town 16 gameplay, but not everyone is town 16 because the end game is 16. Everything pertaining to CWL, even CWL that we do know is 16 base. Um, just random event wars has been 16. Um, like I said, the same esports has been Town 16, and not everyone is Town 16. Um, so most of the time, people that are lower Town Hall say, well, I want to do what he's doing, so I'm gonna either spend my money or spend a lot of time in the game to get to 16 to do that. And that's a lot of more time that you probably won't have time to develop your gameplay because you want to go to Town 16. So that's another thing when it comes down to rushing, also, because rushing is going to hurt your gameplay more than it's going to develop it. You're going to have a stronger base, but as a attacker, you're not going to understand what this is going to do. So I would like that they can build a little bit more on esports. I think that would be great. Esports is always the highlight of Clash, but if they can pull the community a little bit more together and give them small things that they can do, just it could be war, it could be friendly challenges, something to help them understand. Well, you are part of the game because without a community, you have no game. So if it can help them understand, well, okay, you're part of me. I'm gonna help you with these small things and help you grow. I think the community would be a little bit more stronger, um, and to help the game grow a little bit more. That's something I want to see for sure. So I think this last one we can move on to, which is going to be a little bad tasting. I want to say. Um, what do you guys think about the pay to win aspect of Clash, if there is? I think we can start with you, Catfish.
So, what do I think about pay to win aspect of Clash?
Yeah, if there is.
Um, there is a bit of that, but I think it's more in the qualifiers than it is in the actual championships. And here's why I say that. You have to have skill. It doesn't matter if you have paid to get all the way up and max every single part of your base, every single troop, every single hero. You still have to have skill, as evidenced by the fact that I'm maxed out, almost completely maxed, even with the supercharged things that we have right now, right? But my skill level is nowhere near that of guys like Peacekeeper and Jesse and Benjo, Congressman Colrick, who's listening in the audience right now. I'm a mid clasher, and there's no way that I could compete on the world scene. Now, where do I say that some of that pay to win aspect comes in? In the early parts of the town hall, when they just release things, that first set of qualifiers that happen there, the people who have paid to upgrade everything during that qualifier have a distinct advantage over the others. That doesn't mean that somebody with skill who hasn't paid to update everything isn't going to be better, but there is going to be a distinct advantage. Now, by the time we get to the World Championships, all of the updates have been released, all of the balance changes have hopefully been done, everybody's had a chance to get into their current meta. So when we get to that, it's not necessarily a pay to win for the championship itself, but for some of the qualifiers, yes. Now when we start talking some other things that go on in Clash of Clans, like teams that are looking for big long win streaks, you have seen things in the past where clans have hunted other clans with win streaks. They try to match up with war weight. They get matched up with a clan that has a massive win streak, and then they pay during prep day to upgrade all of their bases. So now they have a better advantage over the team that they're trying to hunt. Now, some of that went away when they no longer said that a tie was going to end a win streak, and we just saw that in Knights of Zion. We were up against our last war was up against 39 war win streak, but any ties that were in those 39 wins didn't count against them. So some of that win streak hunting has gone away. But there's some pay to progress stuff, a little bit of pay to win early in the season, but towards the end, it really it comes down to skill. It doesn't matter how much I've paid to upgrade my base if I don't have the skill. And I think for now, I'm gonna actually kick this over to a surprise guest that we have here, and I'm gonna ask C Note if he's got any um, thoughts on this pay to win, pay to play, and maybe give PK some words of encouragement as he looks at podcasting.
Well, hey guys, thanks for having me on. I love the content so far. First time listener, first time caller.
Welcome in, welcome in.
Thank you very much. Pay to win. I've never really seen it as that. Pay to progress more. I think, and you guys are kind of touching on it now. I think that Supercell is really shifting their gears towards more cosmetic ways of producing revenue for themselves, and less about the pay to progress part. So I kind of like that. Yeah, I agree with Catfish. Like, make them earn it, because your skill set is just going to get that much better as you rank up through the town halls. If you rush your way through, you're going to get to 16 and 17 right around the corner, and you're going to kind of suck. So, it's just in your best interest as a player to experience it as much as you can.
Yeah, because even for me, because I'm a free to play player, and I've been that way since I started the game. So when I started out, it was just mainly there was show packs in the shop. I was like, okay, well, this is just to help you progress a little further. I never really called it pay to win, because the end of the day, like you said, you need to be skillful. You need to understand what you're doing, because if you don't, you're gonna fail. And you see that a lot. No, you saw that a lot, like say at Town Hall 9 or a little lower down. Especially because I started trophy pushing at Town Hall 9. I realized that some Town Hall 11s that rush, they would fail on my base, and I'm a Town Hall 9. So you still need a lot of skill. So I would never push it and say, okay, well, this game is getting pay to win, because you need to understand what you're doing, because rushing is one of the harder things to do, especially fixing a rush is very hard. So I believe that you really need skill. You need to understand what the game is doing and what you're doing as a player. Because if you don't, you're just gonna fail, and rushing is just gonna be obsolete for most players. And some players will probably decide, okay, well, I'm not understanding what I'm doing. I'm going to either quit the game or continue rushing, because fixing the rush is going to be harder than going through the town halls and understanding. Well, at Town Hall 9 is probably where you're going to learn a lot more attack strategies from Town 7, because Town 7, you're going to understand, well, dragons. I need to understand dragons. I need to understand hogs. I need to understand um, the mechanics on my spells. And then Town Hall 9, you're going to understand how the queen charge, how the queen walk. You're gonna sound Lalo. You're gonna sound Zap Lalo. You're gonna sound Go Hobo, which are like very good attack strategies at Town Hall 9. And then Town Hall 10, you're going to build off on those attack strategies from different mechanics of troops, different spells, understanding. Even when the siege machines came into the game as well, understanding that as well. Town Hall 11, the Grand Warden. So when you rush, you're not gonna you're gonna miss all of those different steps in the game. So that's why for me, rushing, I did rush when I start because I didn't know what I was doing. But then when I understood, watched different YouTubers play the game, I understood, well, okay, I need to do this to understand this attack strategy, or I need to get to this town hall to understand what I'm doing for the latter town hall. So for me, I always would say is more of a pay to progress faster than the other person, because someone that would pay for especially like the ores and stuff, they would pay to get that, where I have to randomly grind for it and understand, well, I'm going to do this, and my king is going to be able to do this before he could have done something differently. So I would always push it to the line of pay to progress, but I could understand why people would say pay to win because I may not be able to pay for that and you can. So that's what I believe. I always would say pay to progress more than pay to win. What do you think about that, Jesse?
Well, I say if this game is pay to win, yes, but only for like a slight period. Like when a new town will drop, the first couple of weeks, yes, it's pay to win because we'll get those upgrades instantly done. They will have an advantage for a while. They'll the remainder of the community is catching up. Same with updates. When a new update drops, the pay to winners will have an advantage for like a month. Then everyone else is just caught up again. So over the long run, is this game pay to win? No. For the early game, yes. Like has been mentioned at the World Finals, pay to win doesn't matter if you don't have the skills. I've myself kind of ashamed of it. Put probably like 50k out, 50,000 hours in this game. That's a grind to get some skills in, and still the majority of the time I have no clue what I'm actually doing. it's yeah, it's a weird concept since like like more the casual side of the game is not really pay to win. It's more to the esports scene slash if you actually wanna keep those streaks up, you have to invest early on. But is it pay to win? I don't think mentioned pay to progress in the early stage, and that's it.
Yeah, that's really interesting because I think about the same pay to win and pay to progress aspect because that's something that's been in the game and talks about the game for a very long time. And now having the equipment, I think people push more of pay to win than pay to progress. But the same thing we were talking about when it came down to esports, I think that is where the pay to win aspect can be more involved with the pro players than the casual players because when when I think about it too, as a casual player, I don't have to really worry about spending money at all because I still think it as it's still a game at the end of the day. At the end of the day, but as a pro player, this is like this is my livelihood. This is where I make money, in the esports side, and this is where I thrive. So the pay to win aspect can definitely be there for say, like you said, the first month of the game, and then me as a pro player, I'm max already. So the casual people are just gonna work their way in, say for a month, two, three, four, five, give or take, and be able to be maxed also, depending on how long you play the game, how much time you do spend, because there are times that I spend maybe an hour, hour and a half doing all 8 minute tasks and then don't look at the game till the next day. But for a pro player, they're probably on three to times more than me, and because that's their skill set, that's where they thrive.
To like hook up to that, like I've been on both sides, being pro player before and just casual playing. The amount you actually spend on it is just you have to stress, you have to keep up with all the other teams to be maxed ASAP. To don't have a disadvantage on your defensive side and your offensive side. That was no fun time. I can tell you that.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think about that also, Catfish?
I think about what now? Sorry, my phone just rang on me.
Yeah,
I missed the end of Jesse's thing.
yeah. What do you think about I would say the two sides of Clash, because I call it the two sides of Clash. The casual side and the pro side when it comes to esports, and
Oh yeah.
the pay to win aspect and the free to play aspect.
Yeah, so there's definitely a couple sides there, right? Because there's the more casual folks, there's the extremely casual folks, the ones who are just in it to play. Most of them don't even chat in clan chat. They just come in, they do a couple raids, and that's it. And that's cool, that it's a mobile game. And what do you expect? There's the ones like myself, who I like to play seriously, but I've never entered into a tournament other than maybe some small community type events. I'm not on that esports scene, but I have in the past purchased things like the gold pass. That's all I've ever really bought is the passes. I've not paid for anything else. And then we've got the more serious players. We've got the Jessies and the Benjos and the folks on the real synchronic roster there that we're supporting, and those guys drive the pro scene, drives a lot of the marketing, right? They're the ones that everybody wants to see. And then if those guys are playing well and doing things that inspire the content creators, because I would say the content creators are a perhaps fourth view of looking at Clash of Clans. If the pro scene inspires the content creators are going to make more content based on what they see. It's the casual folks who then are watching those content creators and spending money to try to catch up to what they're seeing the pros do and what the content creators do. So it's this ecosystem that requires all of us. Because if we didn't have the casual players who are just in there playing but still maybe spending some money, if they weren't spending the money like they are, then Supercell wouldn't be able to afford to pay for their developers and their managers and everything that's going on there. And then there wouldn't be any space for the pro scene. Likewise, if we didn't have content creators who were inspired to make cool content, then we wouldn't have people watching the pro scene, and then we wouldn't have a pro scene. But without the pro scene, we wouldn't have cool things to watch. So it's this whole symbiotic relationship between all of these different levels. And for a while, we had some good balance in that. And for some times, that balance got thrown off kilter. And I think we're getting back to having a little bit of the balance. I know we had some arguments on Twitter a while back that were pretty heavy between the pros wanting nerfs and the casuals wanting things to say to stay the way that they were. And I think C-Note will agree with me that us casuals lost when they have nerfed our beloved root riders into oblivion, and now they've nerfed our druids also. But it's this balance, and Jesse talked about that earlier. About you've got to have some balance in the game at all levels to keep everybody happy and to keep everybody having fun.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think I couldn't have said it better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the casual players contribute more money. It's like a perfect circle, right? You know, everything needs everything in order for that perfect circle to work. And then backtracking on what you guys were talking about with, the casual players coming up through the ranks and rushing. Do you think that with Supercell kind of tweaking the hero potion to the point where it doesn't go up 5 levels, but however maxes the heroes at whatever town hall level you are, as well as the power potion, do you think that is encouraging people to rush because they can technically compete in wars at that point? Their base won't hold up, but they can compete as attackers. Do you think that has any effect on it?
I
Oh, it,
want
it
to
absolutely
yeah,
does.
I want to say yeah in it for sure because for someone that would say rush it on 16, level one defenses, level one everything, but being able to pop a potion, they would be able to compete in a way, um, attacking wise. But I still think skill would definitely come back into play, when it comes to competing. But I think it's gotten a little bit more easier for casual players to be able to, especially for City Bell, they'll be able to compete in that. But when it comes to something a little higher up, it's definitely going to be difficult. You can see the skill gap is going to change from a fingertip to something a little bit more higher. So I could see where they'd be able to compete, but not at that higher level. But I could see it helping casual players because at the end of the day, everyone wants to help the casual players in terms of be able to max out because some players still believe it's hard to max out, but you gotta understand which steps to take to max out. You don't have to spend money. I still think for anyone that's casual in the game, the gold pass is still the best thing for you to buy. You do not have to buy any packs in the shop or even buy the glory ore. You don't have to do that. But the best bang for your buck is still the gold pass. I would put that hands down. Gold pass is still the best thing to buy in the game.
Yeah, the gold pass has quite some value for like I'm not sure how much costs can in the US, but for like the Netherlands it's like 7 8 euros. But what you get worth is like up to 80. But speaking about going easily max, if you don't think maxing nowadays is easy, you have not experienced the old days without magic items, without passes, all those old costs. It was no fun paying 3 or 4 million per wall on Town Hall 9.
Yeah, I I can attest to that. It was painful, very painful. Back then, it felt like you really were grinding, and it felt rewarding being maxed. It felt really rewarding being maxed. It was very difficult as back then till now. So the game has definitely gotten easier in a sense of you have the gold pass for one, which is still the best. You have a couple more items in the shop if you want to buy items. There is clan games, there is CWL. So the game has given casual players an ease to max. Because I think if we were still back then, I believe a lot of players would probably be over with the game um, because of not having the gold pass and not having different things to help max out. So I think it's definitely easier for sure. What do you think about that as well?
Yeah, things are a lot easier in some ways. The value of things like walls have so the value of the wall itself has gone down given some of the troops that we have, but the ability to upgrade them at much quicker, decreased resources needed. A lot of us old guys will sit there and talk about how we had to walk uphill both ways and 12 feet of $1 million walls at Town Hall 7. But that's all part of the game changing. That's part of the evolution. So it's to be expected. And I like the way that it's we always reduce things because then that does allow those newer players to get up to a level where they're competitive and able to play much sooner. Because if it took 2 years to get to max Town Hall 9 these days, nobody would want to pick up the game and play. No new players would want to pick up the game and play because there's no way they could get to the end.
True, because by then it was difficult to max, especially to online, being able to having to upgrade the walls twice. So my ease to actually help max out the walls is why I started trophy pushing at the online because it felt okay. Well, it's gonna take me forever to max out anyways. I might as well have something else to do. So trophy pushing was definitely my get up every day and want to play after school and stuff. So trophy pushing helped for sure. Um, but I'm glad that the changes were needed. Different changes were needed. Buffs to different things are definitely needed to help the game progress and actually help new players not feel stuck at town hall. Um, Taking forever to try to max it, especially if you are free to play. It feels like you're in a hole, not be able to get out to max. So it's definitely easy, way way easier, which is actually good. The casual player doesn't have to feel like they're suffocating in walls. Even me as a 16 being fully maxed now, it definitely felt hard, especially having to upgrade so many walls. But it got easier in time, which is always good. So I think we can go off on one more um massive question. In terms of the changes that they did to the Gold Pass, where I think last month is where they didn't have a skin in the Gold Pass, where I think they add like a D&D cube. What do you guys think about the experiments that they've been doing with the Gold Pass?
Well, I can't speak for
Yeah.
everybody, but I use that dice to determine what base I'm going to attack in war now on my base. So
I've seen I've seen Bash did something really nice where he did he spun the dice to see which army he did. I think that was a very good concept. And it was a great video too.
Oh, I think Supercell rolled the dice on that and lost because they had to go back and make a change. You know, the skin has always been listed as one of the benefits of the Gold Pass, and when they took that out, I think the backlash was massive,
Yeah,
and they had to go and make a change. You know, midstream they had to go in and make a change.
it was
And
it was bad.
honestly, yeah, I think that they're putting out too many skins because it used to be you got one skin a month. There might be one that you could buy every other month, but the fact that they're putting out entire sets each month, it's going to burn out their art department. It's going to mean that they've got way too many skins available to have to manage. And if they went back to doing one a month in the Gold Pass and maybe one a month or every other month that you could buy, that would let them stretch things out, you know. And maybe we could finally get that the Clockwork Royal Champion that we know that we've all wanted since the beginning of time, and they could go back and do. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That is the absolute worst series of skins ever. The one that we didn't get at the beginning of last month was better than the Clockwork skins, but that's just my opinion.
Yes, the skin I ended up getting for my legendary chest, Clockwork Queen. That was my legendary chest, and I got her. But yeah, for me, everyone only ended up buying the Gold Pass because of the skin. It's like, okay, well, new pass, I'm gonna get the my skin, and one big thing too for the Gold Pass was the one gen donations. I think that was definitely what everyone bought the Gold Pass for. I'm gonna get a free skin at the end of the pass, and then have the one gen donation. So I think that they really been rolling the dice with the goal pass, but then when they realized, okay, they messed up, the community really told them that they messed up. And in Bash's stream, I saw it a lot on Twitter. Like Twitter blew up with that videos. Like they really told Clash of Clans Supercell that, yeah, you made a mistake and you need to change it now.
Yeah, Supercell failed their perception check on that roll.
Yeah. They definitely did. They rolled a not zero. They really did. They really did. It was interesting that small part. It felt like they wanted to make a change. But you know, as gamers, we don't want to see change that quickly. We don't want to see change at all. Um, but they definitely took a knife. They really took a knife in the back on that one. It was tough change, but I think that is a great point to end on. I appreciate my clanmates as well as um, one of the new speakers as well. It was really great, and the first time for me actually doing something like this. It's a great experience. Getting different points from you guys and brainstorming a lot. So I appreciate you guys. So Catfish, you can say goodbye, Jesse, as well as one of our guests as well.
Yeah, thanks for having us on, Peacekeeper. And I'll take a note out of Kat's book. She's the host of Pineapples and Thorns. We'll do a Knights of Zion is a fun, family friendly clan. We're partnered with Synchronic Gaming now. So if anybody would like to get involved with Peacekeeper and myself, Catfish, and even Jesse, and a lot of our guys we've had in the past with Knights of Zion, you can look us up on the Synchronic Gaming Discord server. That's discord.gg/synchronic gaming and apply there. We take anything from Town Hall 13 up through 16, but we have other family clans within Synchronic that are taking all sorts of different levels of town halls. And we look forward to talking to each and every one of you guys later in maybe future episodes. We will see what happens. Thank you to C Note for hopping on, fellow podcast host over at Clash Tours. Thanks to again Congressman Coolrick from Reddit Talks Clash and Good Cop Bad Cop for listening live. Who is just one of our I don't know Clash of Clans podcast super fan, making sure everything happens well in the background. So again, thanks PK for having us on.
Yeah, really do appreciate you guys hanging out with me. And if I decide to be on someone else's podcast as well, I am totally down. Catfish, you have groomed me into this. This is something completely new to me, and I knew that you love podcasts in general, so you've gotten me into the limelight of podcasts. But I appreciate you guys being here, getting through some very nail biting points in Clash, and we want to see the game. But I appreciate you guys a lot. But that's it for me. Hope you guys did enjoy, and I will see you guys next time.